Therefore, is it okay for us to watch pornography to prepare ourselves for the first night?
If cats and cows can find it, you should be able to find it. But the thing is this, even if you can find it, that doesn't mean you can do a pleasurable intercourse.
In sexual relationship, the husband is the pilot, take initiative and set the direction. But the pilot must listen to the control tower. If your wife is not ready for intercourse and you try to push your way through, it's like your private part banging against a wall.
Common understanding about the woman, they will lose interest in sex. But the thing is this, female libido is not intrinsically waning in mid-marriage. The reason why it wanes is because of their daily dynamics.
This idea that you lose the interest in sex, especially for women, this is the extension of the mid-marriage grind.
What we introduced in the book is a different dimension of sexual relationship. Is what we call the golden years. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Welcome to our podcast number 5.
Today's podcast, we will focus on the messenger hadith in practice. And we will look into the critical stages in marriage life and how it affects the sexual relationship and even the couple relationship as a whole.
So to help the discussion, we break it into 3 parts in the book and also in this podcast. There is, we will talk about the first night. Secondly, what happens in mid-marriage. And thirdly, in the golden years, or what we know as menopause, andropause.
So this is taken from page 103 of our book. I feel that this part of the book is very fulfilling for me as a counselor because we are able to merge the Islamic perspective, Prophet's advice and insight about sexual relationship into what happened to the couple as they go through their marriage life. As I said in counseling, and we are also able to interface the sexual science part that most people are kind of blur or not familiar with. There's a lot of respectable literature about sexual science. For example, this book, Issues and Insight on Human Sexuality. And the other book is 7 Weeks to Better Sex, focusing on the couple relationship. It's written by a sex therapist.
And not to forget, She Comes First and He Comes Next.
These are very good books that are proper and respectful about the subject and very knowledge-based, which I really appeal to our listener to look into instead of just Googling and scrolling maybe some vulgar website or pornography. So to start off with reference to preparing for the first night, how are we going to be educated or informed and know what to do on the first night if we are actually virgins and if we don't have prior sex experience? And because we are good Muslim, alhamdulillah, and we don't experiment, no hanky-panky. So therefore, is it okay for us to watch pornography to prepare ourselves for the first night?
Even if you don't have prior experience, you have not been naughty and you have not been experimenting, the first night, you as a man, you would be able to find the right organ because actually that area, that region of the female body is naturally beautiful to us men. Given the opportunity to explore, you would naturally go there. You would naturally want to touch the right organs. If cats and cows can find it, you should be able to find it because at the animalistic level, we are the same.
And we are smarter than cats and cows.
But the thing is this, even if you can find it, that doesn't mean you can do a pleasurable intercourse. First thing that I would like to dispel a misconception among guys. Growing up, we tend to think that there is a hole down there. And it's based on the jokes that we make. Like for example, we like to say, oh, every pole is made for a hole. So along the way, we get this idea that there's a hole there that we insert our organ and then the thing will happen like an electrical appliance. The truth of the matter is, guys, there's no hole down there. The vagina, the vulva, it's actually a slit opening. It's like this, or like your lips. But it has the capacity to take the shape of the penis. But whether that organ will open up or not, it does not depend on your penis. Whether it is hard or it is long or it is big or it is sharp or it is blunt. Actually, you know what it depends on? It depends on the woman's desire for you. If the woman are not interested in you, the muscles will clamp up. That's why rape is very traumatic because it's not only psychologically painful, it is also physically painful because the woman do not want to have this man. So it clamps up. It can happen to your bride also. She may have married you a few days ago. But if your behavior on that night is very displeasing, at that point of time, she may not want you. And because of that, the muscle will clamp up. And then the lubricating liquids, which usually come in a romantic setting, will not be secreted. So your first encounter may be a failure, not because you don't know where it is, but because of your approach towards your bride. In her heart, may not be interested in you, may not be excited by you, may not be enticed by you. And that is the thing that will prevent you from having a pleasurable entry, even though you know exactly where it is. So what you need to learn is actually how to be enticing as a man. And that is something which pornography don't teach.
When you look at pornography, it doesn't teach you anything about how to conduct the sexual act, because first of all, it is make-believe entertainment. It misses out the entire complexity of the couple relationship, the couple connection at the emotional, social level before they can be connected to physically. And I think what is worrying is that what you see in pornography set a very high standard, a very high bar that you are not able to perform. Because and then you get disappointed, and then you can start blame the husband can blame the wife. Oh, you are something wrong with you, that you are not receptive, and the wife will say, oh, okay, what's happening? You know, you were lame, you were not able to sustain your erection. What is usually portrayed is not what happens in reality in a relationship. Okay, so therefore that's why we're going to share our understanding and some insights about what would be the proper way to conduct your first night. Yeah. One of the most important thing about preparation for the first night is to not have this high expectation that you are going to consummate your marriage on the first night, because you can imagine that you are most likely going to be tired. There's so many wedding preparation. There's so many conflicts, so many tensions, so many things that you need to do to show a good grand wedding. You know, emotionally, psychologically, you're just tired. Yeah, and physically, you're just tired. And then to expect that when you're together on bed, when everybody has left you, that you're going to be able to consummate, is really putting too much pressure on your body and your emotional, mental well-being. So I would recommend that people just chill and take the first night as a night to just fall asleep. Although, relax. And this is also based on the Prophet hadith.
For the widow, 3 nights, and for the virgin, 7 nights.
So that actually, what does that imply, this hadith?
Don't be calculative about it. You know, okay, 3 nights already. Time's up. No, it is the Prophet's way of giving an idea that, consummation doesn't have to happen on the first night. Even for a widow, meaning somebody who already had prior experience, the Prophet is talking about 3 nights. And for the virgin, 7 nights. So imagine how long that is compared to our normal perception of consummation. You know, that after the nikah, must consummate.
Although I can understand that for some society, some culture, there is this expectation that there will be a white cloth with blood to show the virginity of the bride, which I think is like really putting unnecessary pressure on the woman. And I had encountered women who find the first night to be really unpleasant and even traumatic for them, especially if the man insists or force himself on the wife. I even had cases of actually the wife had suffering some injury.
So this narrative that pain and blood is more common among adult Muslims who marry and have sex for the first time. But our experience in counseling teenage pregnancy cases, among them, they are quite surprised to hear that the first time is painful. To them, there's no such thing as blood. Why should there be pain? But in many of these cases, when we probe, their story is quite similar. That the first time they have sex, they didn't intend to have sex. Yeah, so they were just frolicking, petting. There's no such thing as what adults face during consummation.
Yeah, so there's no pressure or no intention to have sex. It just happen naturally as they progress in their physical touching. So the lesson to be learned is actually for the first night doesn't have to be on the first night that you're sleeping together. It's more when you're rested and you can start slow with just hugging, kissing, and experiment in stages. Especially, I think, for the girls, for the wife, a lot of them may hear stories from their friends who are married that, is painful, is like actually quite uncomfortable, which can create some anxiety and fear in them. So if couple take time to get to know each other, to explore the body, I think it will help to face in the consummation.
It's unfortunate that we have to give the example of teenage pregnant cases. We give this example just to make it easy for us to understand that the way towards pleasurable lovemaking is not to be fixated about lovemaking. Yeah. In fact, it is a sunnah of the Prophet. That is exactly what the Prophet wants us to do. When the Prophet said, do not be like animals when you want to make love. Establish the connection. And he used the word messenger.
Definitely, we are not seeing or condoning premarital sex.
So this requires actually the leadership of the husband. Yeah, but here the leadership is in the form of example. You want your wife to be attractive to you. The first thing that you have to do is to be attracted to your wife. The best way is actually to ask your wife what your wife prefers or what your wife look forward to on that night. You know, you can listen to her. If she says that she wants to sleep because she's very tired, one of the most gentlemanly thing that you can do is to allow her to sleep, and then you also sleep. Because even though consummation does not happen, what's more important is your attention to your bride. That is the thing that will entice her towards you. And one of the way in which a woman is interested is actually when the man give her the attention that she needs and show that he understands her. So basically, it means that on the first night or throughout the entire honeymoon, you should make it as getting to know each other. You may have known your girlfriend or boyfriend for years, but that is before the marriage. Now, when with the marriage, there will be new context, new responsibilities, living arrangement. You know, there are many new things. So you can actually restart your getting to know each other in the context of this new environment that you are in. Yeah.
Yeah, so some of our advice from the book is that forget about sex, just
That's the first advice.
just be chill and just explore, get to know each other in a gentle, non-intrusive, non-penetrative way.
As in the book, we suggest that the best kind of honeymoon that you can have is the resort kind of honeymoon. Because in a resort, be it a mountain resort or a beach resort or a forest resort, resorts usually have related activities that you can do. So you can spend your time actually having a non-sexual activity with each other. That gives you the opportunity to get to know each other at a different level. What you can think of is also games. Like it could be as intellectual a game as chess or snake and ladders or poker or card games, so on and so forth. Or I think what would be a good game is Twisters.
It's actually just to start being comfortable with each other's body, and then if the woman is more ready after the non-erotic area, then you can move to the erotic area. For example, the private part or the breast. And then when she's ready, then you can proceed. Because like you say, if a woman is relaxed and stimulated, naturally there will be a liquid that will facilitate the intercourse. If she is tense or if she is very anxious, the vagina will contract and intercourse will be almost impossible. There are instances of ladies who have what we call vaginismus. It could be because of her own fear, anxiety, or past trauma. The vagina will just tense up and it's difficult to intercourse. So this kind of situation does happen. And if you do so, there are sources of help. You can see your GP. We know of Amira Zaki from UK who did very good job, and she's able to do coaching for women online too. And do check her out. She has done tremendous work on this area and had helped many couples to consummate their marriage.
It is best that the husband take the cue from the wife. So the analogy we give in the book is,
in sexual relationship, the husband is the pilot, take initiative and set the direction. But the pilot must listen to the control tower to ensure that there is safety, that things are properly done. So basically,
whether it is ready to take off.
ready to take off, when to land, all that. So the wife have to keep instruction, whether I'm ready, can we try this, or I'm not ready, you have to do more work or whatever. Yeah. So that is the simplest analogy.
So as a rule of thumb, when the wife invites him to enter her, when she can say that, it actually really means that she is psycho-emotionally ready. And when she's psycho-emotionally ready, she is physiologically ready, actually.
I also want to give a message to the husband that if your wife is not ready for intercourse and you try to push her way through, Yeah, it's like your private part banging against a wall. No
Painful.
yeah, it's painful, and actually is no win for both of you. So it's important to kind of just slow down and get to know each other. And imagine that you have like you are dating, yeah, but no holds bar kind of thing.
So
The
maybe
attitude is important, I
so
think.
maybe a new husband before you get married and before you go to honeymoon, maybe you have to prep yourself, you know,
Yeah,
to psycho yourself.
psychologically, yeah.
Yeah, your leadership in this area is actually needed to cool down, you know, you really have to control the animal in you, bring out the chivalrous in you, to be sensitive to your wife's readiness, your wife's feelings, and take the cue from your wife. When you take the cue from the wife, it doesn't mean that your leadership is taken over by her, actually. If you listen to the feedback, the direction, and the cues given by your wife, actually you are being an effective husband in actually listening to your
Right.
follower.
I think part of the leadership goal is to be able to look at long-term benefits and the end goal, and not look at immediate.
Immediate,
So
yeah.
immediate
Especially it's your own
for your
immediate
own
personal
gratification.
gratification.
Yeah.
So these tips and suggestions we are giving are all in line with the Messenger hadith, where the Prophet told us to create the emotional and sensual connection before we venture into intercourse. It applies to the first night also. In fact, the Messenger is needed more on the first night than ever. And if we manage to observe it on the first night, it serves as a good start for us to bring the messenger into the next critical phase of our marital lifetime, which is the mid-marriage. Yeah. So what we mean by mid-marriage is the stage where you find that it is no more honeymoon. Things are no more rosy. You have a lot of reality coming into your relationship already. Work becomes busy. Family of origin issues come to the center. And especially when you begin to have children. Common understanding among men and women is that there's something about the woman libido that after the honeymoon period, they will lose interest in sex. But the thing is this, female libido is not intrinsically waning in mid-marriage. The reason why it wanes is because of their daily dynamics. What we notice is her situation has changed. She become overburdened with a lot of care duties, care for the house, children, mother-in-law, and husbands seem to think that all he has to do is go to work, make money and come back. But in our modern context, salaries now have to be supplemented by the wife having go to work. So if you share financial responsibility, you must also share the household upkeeping responsibility.
So I think as a leader of the family, the men need to understand that their role to like keep an eye, handle all these issues for the benefit of the family and himself. Really to attend to the wife's needs. So I do see like husband expecting the wife to do everything in the household, cooking, putting the child to bed, bathing the toddler, and he's just waiting by the bedside and expecting that she will be on and very excited to have sex with him. Well, when she saw him, she just gets so irritated. He's just there on bed, getting his phone, waiting for her. And what she wants to do more than anything else is to just sleep.
And these are real cases. And in these cases, the wife loses interest in sex, not just because she's very tired. But what's more important is that in these cases, usually the wife feels alienated, like as if she has become a servant to the husband instead of a partner.
The mid-marriage is where typically affairs happen, because you argue about household chore, you argue about a lot of roles expectation, you argue about the division of time. The marriage loses its attractiveness. You're just not happy with each other. And when this happens, then I would say always like you don't consciously mean to have affairs or to have a fling, but the outsider, the colleagues that you met, people that you know, even former classmate, suddenly becomes attractive because you start being able to communicate to each other. You are excited to catch up again, and especially when you start sharing the problem that you have in your marriage, then you form an emotional connection with these other people.
So even though the affairs lead to sexual affairs, when it started, it didn't start with
Yes,
the intention to have sexual.
affair.
They always start emotionally, actually. The third party become a place of solace to let go of your frustration in marriage. Yeah. So the point at this juncture, the point that we want to make is that there is a close relationship between your interpersonal non-sexual relationship and your sexual relationship in bed. Yeah, so people like to bank on their sex life to save their marriage. You have to understand that if your out of bed relationship is not great, your sexual relationship will become dry because the emotions are not there. The sensations are not there. But your sex life are meaningless. You are only doing it as a duty.
And the sex also would be like a power struggle for a couple that gets played out in bed, which is very sad lah. Yeah, and I would really encourage people to get help, to go for counseling. We have a lot of issues that we don't feel safe to talk about to our partner, and therefore I think getting help for yourself and later if possible for your partner is a good start to really rebuild on the marriage. You believe in the marriage.
So in that section of mid-marriage, we talk about the apparent loss of libido among wife, which is related to your day-to-day vibe between each other. But we also talk about logistics at home, whether the situation at home, the furnitures, the environment, as well as even the sleeping arrangement of your children, whether it impede your ease in being intimate with each other. Another area we look into is how to handle the kind of busyness that modern couples have today, double income, shifting shifts, and the issue of beauty, physical appearance. Is it important? Is it not important? And lastly, we also talk about the need to understand different aspects of intimacy because many couples rely on sexual relationship to save the areas of intimacies which are absent in their relationship. The social, intellectual, the spiritual, emotional intimacy. These are components of intimacy which, if you don't have, sexual intercourse is not going to help you. So if you want to know more details on these issues, we invite you to check out the book. Yeah. So the last aspect of marital lifetime that we talk about is what we call the golden years, or the years where menopause and andropause happens. Yeah.
This will be about 50-ish.
50-ish. What normally coincide with midlife crisis. The unfortunate thing is that because of this coincidence, many couples conclude that it is time to retire from sexual relationship.
This idea that you lose the interest in sex, especially for women, and most likely this is the extension of the mid-marriage grind.
What we introduced in the book is a different dimension of sexual relationship, which is slightly different from younger days. If you are ignorant, these changes are real changes, not only psychological, it's physical changes actually, because you age. But if you are ignorant about it, it can become a source of anxiety. But if you are knowledgeable about it, you will discover these new aspects, these new facets of your relationship actually. I would like to give one example. It's about self-induced impotence, which arises out of men's ignorance in changes in their physicality. Middle-aged men would notice that they are not as fast to get erect, or when they are erect, it doesn't last as long as last time when you are young. Sometimes it's quite ridiculous, that thing. Sometimes we are not even thinking of sex. We are doing work, writing a very serious professional letter, and the thing gets erect out of the blue. That is what happens in younger days. Yeah. In middle age, it doesn't happen anymore. And some men become anxious. And then when they start comparing with their friends who also bluff their way through, so they feel like as if they are losing their sexual ability, and then they start to blame the wife. The wife not pretty anymore, and then they start to argue, they start to quarrel, and all these are things which are not conducive to sexual arousal. In the end, what makes them lose that ability is the anxiety actually. The anxiety and the friction that happens at home that actually kills their readiness, kills their arousal, and in the end, they actually get impotence. So this is what sex therapists will call self-induced impotence, and it arises out of ignorance. Typically, what we see in counseling, but also we see in advertisements, men at this age begin to look for Viagra, Cialis. Maybe in America, UK, you can get this. In Singapore, it's very controlled. And so because of that, they rely on village medicine, the makjun, the tongkat ali especially. And then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. When it doesn't work, they start to compare with their friends in coffee shop talks who tend to brag and also lie about their own prowess. So they become anxious about their apparent loss of sexual ability. This sex therapist Ian Kerner explained that what is happening is a positive change in our sexual ability. At a certain age, the testosterone level in men goes down and the estrogen level goes up. Actually, it increases men's ability to be emphatic towards the psycho-emotional needs of the wife. That is actually the point that makes you a better lover. When you are able to be empathic towards your lover, that makes you a better lover. It's not so much of your organ. If middle-aged men understand this, they will go to look for this new facet of a sexual relationship, which are more emotion-centered and welcoming to women.
Yeah, it's an important perspective rather than to feel anxious and trying to think that if you have an affair, if you have a younger sexual partner, then your sex drive will be reinstated. That is not the issue. The other critical factor is at menopause, the woman's body naturally reduces the production of estrogen, which reduce their libido. And menopause is a real thing that happened to a woman, that their body adjusts to all these changes and they can actually have a lower desire and lower libido. For more info or details of how to manage menopause sexual relationship, we will recommend you to check Dr. Sadaf, who had done a lot of work, a lot of medical input about how to manage this and what can be done. Once you can manage this, actually, sexual relationship in old age is still part and parcel of couple relationship. It doesn't mean that you don't have sex after you are 50.
The connection to the messenger hadith is that if you have started your marriage on the basis of the messenger, that is, you give more priority on the sensual and emotional connection between husband and wife, and you let the sexual to be an extension of that connection, then it will do you good on your first night in mid-marriage. And because you are so used to this, even when your external prowess, sexual prowess has been in the golden years, it is no issue to you because you had always prioritized your emotional and your sensual pleasuring
and connection. So that's the main gist of the messenger hadith that we try to promote throughout our book. So the next podcast we will cover common myth for sexual relationship. Until then,
see you.
see you.
Assalamualaikum
Bye.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.